Oh, hey, see you there. Sorry, I was just checking social media and oh, oh wow. Oh God, that makes me feel horrible. You know what? We should probably talk about social media. And when we talk about social media, let's start with this. What if there was an app that had a button and you click on it and your number of followers on all your platforms magically increases? Would you use that app? What's the benefit of a follower count? What's the benefit of a particular social media platform? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about some other aspects of social media and how we make the most of it for RPGs. All today on Success in RPGs. You know, even before the recent changes, I heard a lot of creators talking about how social media can be overwhelming to them. It can feel dissatisfying. It can induce a lot of anxiety. A lot of folks really struggle with it. So, we want to be healthy. Social media should be healthy for you. And if it's not, we should change things up. So, let's ask how we can make more from the promise of social media. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is step back, analyze what should social media do for you. So let's start by listing some goals. And you may have other goals, but I'm going to suggest 3 goals. And this is an opportunity for you to think through, do I like these goals? To what extent are they important? And how does social media allow me to do this or not, right? So one goal, stay informed. We can gain news, fun links. We can learn about people and the industry and get exposed to lots of new ideas. Great. It's worth noting that social media isn't the only source of news. Viewing a couple of news blogs that you trust could achieve much of the same thing without the stress. There may be attending conventions where you can meet people and get more closeness to creators than via social media. A handful of blogs might give you more creative ideas than you would get through many hours on social media. 2, second goal can be promoting and marketing ourselves or our work. We want to educate others on what we offer. We want to make it easier and more likely for folks to find us and to select us or our products. That's totally great. Social media isn't the only place to do this. So we will talk about other approaches to promotion. And it's worth reviewing how much social media really contributes to business and whether our people, and I mean our business, right? Our own business, and whether other people with similar creative goals can achieve more with other platforms. Third goal, be social. We want friendships. We want fun interactions. We want to, share ideas with someone and get feedback and have a good time doing that. That's absolutely important. Being social is one of the keys to life. But that's not exclusive to social media, right? There are other ways, sometimes better, to find community, and it's worth analyzing that and thinking through it. When a fellow creator set up for a recurring call during the pandemic where some of us could talk about the hobby, that was worth more than all the social media the world could ever create, right? When I go to a convention and I'm hanging out with people, God, that is way better than social media interactions. Having a regular group of, say, DMs that you are training and helping become better, that can be so good for the soul. So it's worth evaluating all 3 of these goals and thinking through how important that is and how well social media is doing that for you. Again, taking a step back, let's ask, is social media necessary? No. But your audience or your freelance work needs to come from somewhere, right? If you are a creator, which is what we're talking about here, someone needs to have a way to hear of what you did. And just word of mouth, just being on a store shelf, just being on drive-through or wherever it is that you're selling, that's probably not all you want. So we want to think about not necessarily how we have to be on social media, but how will people find you, hear about you, and be reminded of you? And social media may be a part of that, but probably isn't the only vehicle for that. Good question to ask is whether one network is better than the other. And this is a very popular question these days with Twitter imploding is, I think, polite. Some networks may really tire you and make you feel bad. Some may not fit your time availability or your style. And some may fit how you work better, just your way of operating, your way of communicating, that when you say something, you get a response and people notice it and, talk to you about it, and that the links that you post get clicked on and things like that, right? You may want to be on more than one network, but in a way that's not overwhelming, that it's all healthy. That right choice of a network or networks will depend on you. What works for another person in the industry doesn't work for another. I see this all the time. Someone says, oh, wow, platform A, that's the place you want to be there. Someone else will say, I'm on there and it does nothing for me. So whatever feels good is what I would go with, and then see how to be effective on it. And you may need to tweak that. You may be that you really love being on a platform, but you're more effective on another, and that needs to be balanced out. It takes investigating. That's some of what we do on this show, right? Investigating different options and thinking through how to make them effective. You also want to consider, dare I say, who owns the network and what the impact on society is. By being on a particular network, are you helping the world spiral into destruction? Maybe move away from that one and, at least try not to give it any money. All right, a big part of social media networks are followers and algorithms. On some platforms, followers have, and really most platforms, followers don't have that great an impact. And the reason for that is because of algorithms. And some of it is just people being busy, right? They're not going to see everything that you post, that's fine. But a lot of it is algorithms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, these kinds of platforms, they will use algorithms which will drive what you see and don't see. Some of it is also the mechanics of it. So for example, on YouTube, if you follow or subscribe to a channel, are you watching every single video that entity posts, that account posts? Most people don't, right? There's a separate thing, which is clicking on the bell icon that notifies you. That's more effective. Still not perfect, right? In theory, an algorithm can help you, right? It means that when you do something cool, people are going to share it, and that you're going to rise to prominence, right? But in practice, that tends to not be the case. Like if you create a product, it's not like just it's going to become a household name overnight because somehow it became viral. That is exceedingly unlikely. The real kind of way it tends to pan out is that your followers are probably not seeing all of your posts. And when they share, the few that do, when they share your posts, other followers of theirs aren't seeing their posts. So everything is less effective than you think it would be. And a follower means very little. As a friend of mine said, I have 500,000 followers and it feels like 100th of that. Algorithms can do things like bury a post with a link in it. The network, in fact, may prohibit links. So you have a lot of trouble when you're trying to promote something outside of the system, outside of the platform. You're trying to say, go to my website, go to my crowdfunding project, go to my new product, and people won't see that. Algorithms can also constantly change. So YouTube, for example, at one point wildly changed its algorithm, and there were winners and losers immediately. Some people suddenly could not gain more followers because the algorithm that drove those accounts to prominence was now driving different accounts to increase in different ways. And while that's a major change that took place, minor refinements are happening all the time. You never know when a change is going to hurt you. And one platform sees what another's doing and they suddenly decide that you need to put things in vertical bars, and you just don't know. So what you ideally want is you want followers who will follow you in non-algorithmic mode, or better, on a non-algorithmic platform. And you want followers who are actually going to engage with you and follow your links. You want actual fans and friends and people who really are committed to your work rather than sheer numbers. Some platforms are going to help you with that because they have no algorithm inherently. The very nature of Mastodon, for example, means that there are no algorithms. Everybody sees your actual feed and each other's actual feeds. And there are no advertisements, and therefore never can be the link between algorithms and advertisements where they're trying to drive popularity in certain ways that causes these algorithms to constantly shift and change. So because of that, your posting is what people see, and that makes followers more important because 5 people seeing it versus 10 people seeing it, that is better. So that is a case where followers can matter more. Still, don't get hung up on follower numbers. You can also be on more platforms, such that if one changes, you have flexibility and you can shift from the one platform to another. For sure, don't be married to a platform, right? Be in a place where you can leave a platform and still be effective. Find ways to create relationships with people who are going to support your work. Those people are not hollow numbers. It doesn't matter if you have 10,000 followers if only 100 actually care about your work. Those 100 are the ones that matter, and you want to focus on them and on helping them connect with you and helping a few more become part of that 100. 101 is way better than 11,000 if I still only have 100 who click, right? So that's the kind of thing that we want to focus on. People with committed interest to your work are the ones that matter. And we're going to talk about that more on other episodes, especially when we talk about email. I know it sounds really weird, I know, but email is pretty great. How do we make social media effective? We want it to be healthy, where the hours, the minutes that you spend on it are minutes and hours you want to be there. You are feeling positive about it. You can use filters and mute and blocking to maximize this, right? So that if you have, you're only seeing the subjects you want to see and not the ones that depress you or anger you or whatever it is that's unhealthy. And it's worth thinking about the different models that you can look at, the kind of account you could run, right, on a particular platform. And I'm going to list 3 models that we can look at. And I think all 3 of these can be really effective. So here's how to make these models effective. The first being media PR account. This is the type of account that shares programmatic information, right? A new product, a new hire, an update to the rules, a free product, those kinds of things. And it's not overwhelming. It's high utility, informative, not invasive, right? It's not 10 posts a day. It may even only be every now and then, but it's welcome. And we can think of the average follower saying something like, I infrequently get a post from this entity, but when I do, I read it. That's a successful media PR account. Second type of account is the thoughtful account. This is one where you engage with information and discussion, or you provide information discussion and you do some engaging actively, right? Responding to people and so on. So that feels more like there's a person behind the account. It feels more real. You're not just that kind of PR release type account, but you're holding back. And what we might say of a follower is they might say, I like what they have to say. I know it's a person. I enjoy engaging with them. And they might still say that you're a bit quiet. That's fine. But it's a real healthy relationship in that way. The last type that I would say is what I would call constant. Highly personalized, very active. It feels like you have your finger on the pulse of things. You're very engaging. You're responding to lots of people as a member of the community, right? So you feel more like one of them. And that's going to be overwhelming for some followers, but you're gaining really close following from others, right? So someone might even say, a follower might say, when I think of this platform, I think of this person. I see them there every day. That's kind of cool when it's positive, right? It's worth noting that you can automate posting to many platforms via third-party solutions, which can allow you to engage in different modes more easily. So you could set up a plugin on your blog so that you announce things on Twitter in PR mode, and you don't ever have to really be on Twitter. And then you engage thoughtfully with friends and customers on Mastodon, right? But what often fails is on a single platform to do a mix of these or fail to execute on the model that you've chosen to use. And you have probably seen this, especially on a place like Twitter, but also Facebook falls prey to this. I understand. I've never been on Facebook. A PR account, but they forget to share things, right? It's not actually an accurate source of information about you, your company, your products. So if you're a company and you operate in PR mode, go back and look at your account or accounts. Are there products you're not telling your customers about? Were there updates that you didn't communicate? Because, wow, then it's not working, right? People can't trust you as the source anymore. You're a thoughtful account, but sometimes you act super corporate and cold, or very opinionated, right? That's a dangerous mix to introduce. You're a constant account, but you're polarizing. You turn people off of working with you or supporting you, buying your products. That's not good either. And it can sometimes the algorithm can trick you into thinking it's good, that it's good to be polarizing and opinionated and angry. But when you're trying to sell, it's generally not good. It's also not healthy or productive for everybody else. So step back periodically and ask yourself whether your time on this platform, on this social media, is valuable. If your account was someone else's, right? Would you follow it? Would you like it? What would you not like about it? Can you live with the trade-offs that you're making? Are they overall effective? Like, I like retweeting a lot on my Twitter account. It's what I did, when I was using Twitter a lot, I would just retweet a lot of whatever I saw that was good. I'd kind of always retweet it. And some of my friends would say, it's too much for me. And I'd say, yeah, I'm going to live with that. It's kind of what I do. So, that's a conscious choice, but you're aware of it. You're aware that some people don't want the volume of posts you're making. Okay, right? Know what it is that are downsides to the average audience member. And if possible, do some limited periodic measuring. So for example, I had a period of a couple of months where I would take my blog post that I'd just done and I would put a tweet out with a link in it. And then I would do one a little bit later without a link. And then I would try the opposite order. And I would just see how do links affect or not affect. And I got various different responses, or results, but it was interesting to see. And it provided some information that guides how I behave. So that kind of measuring can be really useful. In the end, you want to go back to the goals we talked about and think about the modes that we talked about. And maybe put a recurring reminder on your calendar to look back and say, hey, am I being effective? Am I hitting my goals? Am I feeling good? Am I operating according to the mode that I chose? And am I meeting that mode's needs? And if you aren't, change things up, right? Keep yourself limber and flexible. I hope this has been helpful. On a future show, we're going to talk about a number of alternate ways to reach audiences, how to create community that endures beyond the often hollow social media followers. We're going to talk about things like podcasts and blogs and the highly effective email list and why and how to use those. So stay tuned for more on Success in RPGs.